Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World episode 196. I'm your host John Jordan. Don't forget to check out my daily email about blockchain gaming. You can find that at gamestx.substack.com. In today's episode, I'm talking to Gus van Rijckevorsel, who is the new CEO at Ultra. This is quite exciting. I've had one of the previous CEOs on the podcast before, but things are changing at Ultra. So it is, as I call it, at least the blockchain version of Steam. So it's a game distribution platform. It's its own blockchain. It has lots of bells and whistles. And Gus has come in as the new CEO. So as he says himself, he has no experience of the games industry, no experience of crypto, but he has still seen the opportunity for this platform that has been building for the last 7 years, almost sort of in stealth mode. But he has come in as an entrepreneur and someone who's really focused on communication and really focused on selling Ultra to the gaming market. So very interesting. He says we're not going to talk about sort of Web3. We are going to be onboarding gamers. We are going to be taking a chunk out of Steam. He says that several times. And he's already sort of come in and shaken things up. So he's come in as CEO. He has got one of his previous experts to come in as COO. He has been involved in a $12 million funding round. He calls that a bridge funding round. That preps the bride, his term, to become a unicorn. So he's looking to do a big funding round later on in 2025, and he's really looking to make the most of the opportunity for Ultra and to sort of shake up what he sees as the stagnant PC game distribution market. So very interesting times. Hope you enjoy the podcast. And don't forget to subscribe. Every week we're putting out new episodes. A lot going on, so don't miss out. But on with the show. Hello everybody, welcome to the show, and I'm very pleased I have the CEO of Ultra. I've had the CEO of Ultra on before, but he definitely didn't have such a splendid beard, and he was called Nicholas. So we have the new CEO of Ultra, who is Gus. How's it going, Gus?
Good. Nice to meet you, John.
Good, yes. So as I've been discussing with Gus, I've had one of the CEOs of Ultra on, I think a couple of times before, but it's all changed at Ultra, so I'm very pleased Gus could come on and sort of give us his plans. But before we sort of get on to all the exciting stuff that's happening, it's obviously good to find out a bit more about the person. So yeah, what's the potted history of your sort of career so far? I know you've been pretty active in lots of things, so maybe don't go into too much detail. Give us the sort of headlines.
Yeah, well, in the headlines, in very short, I've been an entrepreneur all my life. Lots of failure, some success, as always. The last company I launched was as a strategy consulting company in Paris.
Okay.
We reached from 0 to 50 consultants in less than 3 years, and then sold it back to a major group in France. Before that was a capital risk investment fund on what we call back then we called it a startup studio. Now it's a word that's been lost of sense kind of way, but. Basically, we're like building up a product for corporates, and as soon as we're reaching a certain tipping point, then the corporate had to buy us back. That's a bit that was
okay.
The model.
Mm-hmm.
And then plenty of things in services, products, all different things. Always a lot of fun. And then the last 2 years, I was more in the investment side because, as I said, I sold the last company, and you're like, at some point you're like, okay, now I'm going to do something else. But it's like a drug where you never say never, and here I am.
And just one thing I will just pull out: you're also involved with some sort of TV stuff as well. Is that right? An entrepreneurial TV sort of show.
Yeah, when you're launching companies, I mean, it's at least there is plenty of different types of CEOs and different types of way to deal with a company. On my way of doing things is communication is definitely one of the major things that a company needs to do. When you believe that your product is good, at the end, a CEO needs to surround himself with the right person, right? And what he needs to do is sell his shit. That's what a CEO is there for, right? Of course, he's got plenty of different things to do, like structure the company, extremely structure of all different things. But he normally surround himself for lots of different things. For example, at Ultra, where we're going to speak about that. My background in gaming and stuff is not there.
Yes.
But I'm surrounding myself with the best for that, right? And what a CEO is there for is to sell his company, right? And so the notion of communication is essential. And I give you the example of this TV emission. I decided to launch a strategic firms in Paris. You know, consulting strategy is extremely closed business. It's like private bankers. If you're not coming for a certain school, with knowing certain people and so on and so forth, especially in Paris, you can forget about it. And when people said it's impossible, then it's the moment of getting exciting. So arrive in Paris not knowing anybody. And the first thing I had to do is to give myself credibility, right? And, you know, like as any people from the, you know, like the workers to the people that the big boss, when you see something on TV, you give credibility. It's stupid as it is, you know. It's that's how humans working. And so the first thing I did is to create a TV emission where I invite major CEOs of companies. And when people see those guys next to me, then it gives me credibility. And you do too. And then the third one's like, wow, those two went next to the beat guy. I need to be next to the beat guy as well. Of course, again, in selling, you cannot just sell shit and nothing behind, right? You have to make sure that you've got something behind. But you have to play the game of human being to sell and making sure that behind the scene, you've got the content. And with Ultra, I've got no doubt regarding the content, so I'm here to play the game.
Cool, good. So you sort of mentioned in passing your sort of experience as a gamer. So when I was looking down your sort of corporate sort of background, there wasn't anything I could see there that was obviously gaming. I mean, you may not put it in there, but tell us about, you know, why you get involved in the games industry.
In the gaming industry, well, you know, like. One thing that's very interesting, it's when you're buying back a company and when you're getting very much involved in it, there is two things that you have to be. Whether you're super experts, so you know your shit like nobody else, right? Or you don't know anything about it because it makes you super humble, it makes you super objective on things, and you have to make sure that you surround yourself perfectly. Because you don't know anything, right? And this is the angle I like to take. Well, as soon as you know things, first of all, you reproduce what's already going on. You've got your own blocker. Well, this guy already tried, and this guy already tried, so it didn't work. So why would it work, right? And so you put in your own road blocker. You know things that you've got difficulty to reimagine things. So I don't think the knowledge of gaming in my position is what matters. What matters is to find the right people and set up crazy ambition.
Okay, good. Yeah. So, given that's the case, and given you're an entrepreneur, you know, I'm sure there's lots of different industries you could go into. What was it? How did you come across Ultra, and why did you think, right, that's the company that I can. You know, I don't know anything specifically about that, but I have this skill set, and I can just see my skill set is going to make this company successful. Well,
you know, like in business, it's always about timing and opportunities. And Nicholas is a guy I met at my kids' school, right?
Oh, really? Okay.
I sold my, you know, for the last 2 years, I received a lot of different files to invest in. Then you check, and then you disappointed, and then you put a little ticket, and with Nicholas, I just sold my company, and we start to discuss about entrepreneurial things, and then if I could give a hand to check a bit what could be done, and to scale the business, and so on and so forth. And at some point, I fell in love with it because by not being a gamer, I haven't checked Ultra as a gaming company. I'm just checking this as an industry and trying to get what is the signal of the industry, what has been done in the industry, what this industry can be compared with. And how big the opportunity is it in this industry, and what we have inside the company, what can be done, right? And it makes you extremely objective. It's like a banker who needs to check like whether he's going to give you money or not. You know, like he doesn't know whether like you hard worker, or you've got your kids are sick, or that your wife is making your life complicated. It doesn't know that. It's just checking numbers, right? Just checking fact and figures and say this guy looks like all right. And that's exactly what I did with Ultra. You know, like you look at the industry, how much nothing has been created for the last fucking 50 years. I mean, it's the content. It's, of course, like, content doesn't need to change. It's it's a game, right? But the way people accessing to the content and interacting with the content, nothing has been moved. Where the film industry has drastically changed, the music industry has completely changed as well. The I don't know, even the luxury industry has completely changed. But gaming industry is just about create a fucking game and buying the game, and that's it. You know, like, and when you see that industry like this, with a market cap like this, with a growth like that, with a potential of, you know, like of soft power, meaning that more and more people is going to get interested in because of the data, because of all this, and nothing has been created on it, then it becomes sexy. Then you have to see what do you have on your plate, right? Because that's a sexy industry, and then what do you do with it? And you look at Ultra, and you see a company that has been investing millions of euros for the last 7 years with crazy developers, and business was shit. We all know it, right? Let's be very clear. But business wasn't there. But tech, I mean, fuck it. I mean, they are the best, right? And I'm not the one to judge. I don't know shit about it. I made my due deal. I asked several top people to check under on the engine, and they all say, "Well, with a tech like this, how come those guys haven't been further down the road?" And this is why here I am, and this is where a guy like me see major opportunity. You know, like a diamond that hasn't been polished, and where I can create the maximum value.
Yeah, cool, good. So I'll do a bit of background here. So as you say, Ultra has been around for a long time, 7 years, and it's basically, I use the sort of term. It's like Steam. So Steam's the big PC gaming platform that everyone uses. It's like Steam on the blockchain. So it's a sort of a distribution platform. It's on the blockchain. There's loads of other bits in there as well. So we won't go into all that, but as sort of, for people who don't know what Ultra is, it's basically a blockchain. It is, in fact, not only have they built their own Steam distribution system, they built their own blockchain called Ultra, and done two things together. They've actually got tons of games on there, and as you say, for someone who's looked at it and used it quite a lot, the frustration has been that they've got all this and no one seems to know about it. So I guess that's the alignment, and it's sort of funny. I mean, even in one sense, so David and Nicholas were the two CEOs, and they were co-CEOs, and I guess that goes to sort of one of the problems that very few companies have have a co-CEO, because like the CEO's the boss. So so I think that was because they're French, aren't they? So I think it's one of their problems was not what they were building. It was telling people, going out there and saying, "Look at what we built," and they were that was not their personalities. So clearly, that is yours. So that's a change.
Exactly. I mean, you know, like and again, I think the story was perfectly written, because again, you have to be with such ambition, because I mean, you spoke about Steam. Ultra has nothing to do with Steam. That's exactly what we want to explain to the market, is that Steam is stuck in the fucking 20s, right? And we're there to change the way people interact with the content. But let's get into that later. Just regarding the story of Ultra, having co-CEO to make a business, impossible. It's just it's not how it works. I mean, and it never worked, and it never will work. Well, if you want to be an R&D company, well, you could even have 5 CEOs, because basically you've got engineers and crazy developers that's working all together to create a crazy monster that we are on the creative phase, and it needs to go all over the place, because if you're there just to again, when you're on the process of creation and you know exactly what you're going to do, one thing for sure is that you're going to fail, because you don't know. That's the notion of creation, is that you don't know what you're going to create, right? And you have to try plenty of different things. So having different people on top of the company, no problem, as long as we are on the process of creation, right? The moment you have to build your product and sell it, the moment you have to sell your product and make it as a business, then you need the one head, right? Yeah. And so that's what they did for the last 7 years in a very smart way. The moment the product is fully ready, they'll say, okay, now it's time. Let's go to the next phase, and that's where I'm coming on the game.
Mm-hmm. And just it is an interesting point, I think, that David has now become the CTO, which is obviously where he feels much more comfortable as a technical person, and sort of leaving you, and you've brought in a COO as well, so a Chief Operations Officer who you've worked with in the past. So from that sort of business operations point of view, that's where the sort of the new team are coming in, and the old team are still there, but they're just, they've found jobs that they're happy with, and they're not sort of square pegged and square in round holes.
Exactly. At the end, like a business is like it's life. Like you need to be at the right place and to excel on what you do, right? Mm-hmm. They were excelling at their position as co-CEO the moment the company needs to create, right? The moment the company needs to do business, they're not at the right place anymore, so they're going on the right place, still leading those aspects. And then putting the right person who can excel in his on his competence as a leader of business. Yeah.
Cool. Good. So we've sort of set the scene. I guess one other sort of thing to talk about now is you just announced today a $12 million funding round. So that's a significant chunk of money. It's interesting that it's come from one individual sort of investment fund. It's actually a family sort of investment, so it's not come from sort of VCs. I don't think Ultra's really had a lot of VC investment. So, but you got this 12 million, and you say there's going to be more. You're working on another investment round for the end of the year. So in terms of funding, you're sort of setting up those dominoes as well for the business.
Exactly. Basically, in a normal process of doing this, when you take back a company like Ultra, first of all, you're making some you prep the bride, right? Because it was a company to create. Now you have to make a company for making business. So there's plenty of things that's changing. Like the governance, the process, the strategy. So you have to put all this together, right? This is what we did for the last few months. Then you're making a bridge, right? What we call in finance a bridge. It's not a fundraising. Fundraising for a company like Ultra, we're there to build a fucking unicorn, right? So it's not with a 12 million raise that you're going to do anything, right? So it's a bridge in order to prep the bride and having the right VCs, the right fund that's following your ambition, right? Okay. So and that's what we did with this fundraise. So this bridge is composed of equity, debt, and token. It's a mix of all different financial aspects of it, with different people around the table. And you've got Noya, which is this family office. Myself. That's getting with Noya as well, and then another very cool investor in it, which is Jean-Christophe Conticello. Was an old friend of mine. We were investing together in in business is also this when you've got you're not changing a winning team, right? So when look, the same for my CEO. We haven't spoken yet about it, but when you start to build, when start to have a career of entrepreneur, you start to have your own tools and you're reusing it because you know it works, right? And the same with your investors, same with your network, same with the people that you can surround yourself. You recycle because you know that the last recipe was good, so they've got a big chance to be good this time as well. So 3 guys around the table plus different other vehicles around us, and to make this bridge, prep the bride to go to the next real level for Ultra that needs to set the ambition of such a companies, right? Okay. Because again, we're not there to be the the underdog and trying to be we're not a Web3 platform. Let's be clear, right? A gaming distribution platform with the top tech ever, which is Web3, right? But the Web2 doesn't care. I mean, that's has nothing. They're there to play the game and to interact in a complete ecosystem. Whether it's Web2 or Web3, that doesn't matter, right? Web3 is a technology, and it doesn't imply the user, right? So we're just having gaming distribution with the best technology. That's it. Right? And we're not there to be the underdog trying to get the last three Web3 game where we crossing fingers if it's going to work because the market is shit. No, we're there to eat a chunk of Steam. Right? Those guys have been around making a monopoly on the markets and been treating the different protagonists very badly. Right? When you look at the way they're treating distributor, it's awful, right? Where those guys taking all the risk, putting the money on the table, developing the game for like years, and not knowing whether the game's going to work, and they completely cut off of the last users, because a company like Steam, you've got developers. Well, developers like the way Steam is treating developers. Again, what is the technological bricks that those guys giving to developers? Nothing. And the way they're treating users, again, right? When the hell are those guys going to invest, taking risk, putting money on the table to please the end users? They haven't done it for the last 20 years. They're just taking the money and that's it. And again, I'm not here to just to please those guys. I'm convinced that we're going to make money by pleasing those guys, right? And because a company like Steam doesn't have any more challengers, and so they can just treat everybody badly and still making money, this is the gap of opportunity for us, pleasing those guys, and then being able to eat a chunk of Steam.
So when you say we're not a Web3 platform, you're not saying you're not going to use the Web3 stuff that you've done. You're just saying you're not going to promote that as a Web3 platform because you think that's not helping you as you know.
No, when I'm saying we're not a Web3 platform, of course we are. You know,
Yeah.
We've got a blockchain. We've got our own currency, and we're going to talk about it later. The US. There is a massive plan to impose US as the gaming currency, right?
Okay.
What I mean here is that we cannot be seen by the market as the little underdog who's playing with Web3 and everybody's waiting that Web3 is going to pop up at some point. No, we're not there for that. We are gaming distribution platform with the best technology the market has. Right, and thanks to this technology, we're able to distribute any games on the markets, and the best technology is Web3, and thanks to this Web3 technology, we're able to create our own currency that's going to be used on all the gaming industry. We're able to make all this secondary markets. We're able to have those marvelous Web3 games where you're buying assets, trading assets, and all this. So you're just adding value on the thing. But we cannot be seen as a Web3 company. We are a gaming company giving the best technology in the markets.
Okay. Sort of when it comes, I don't want to get too involved in sort of Steam, but I do sort of wonder that it's not, I think the fact that Steam are where they are is not because there hasn't been competition. Clearly, there's been the major one is Epic Game Store, which is obviously Epic is a massive games company with Fortnite, the biggest game out there, and they've had a sort of good try. Obviously, they're basically giving away sort of games for free to get people to sign up for their platform, but they you could argue how successful they've been, but they've been like a credible sort of competitor to Steam. So it's not like Steam has just had everything its own way, but it's I kind of wonder how the balance, because if you are being Web3 and having that as a if you sort of take away the fact that that's something that you have as an advantage, then I think it almost becomes impossible to compete with Steam, because as a Web2 platform, that's just where everyone has like 20 years of PC games. So for kind of consumers, how do you think the differentiation, if you're not using sort of Web3, how can you sort of break through that monopoly?
Nokia said the same, right? We Nokia,
Yeah.
and we cannot die. I mean, it's impossible Those guys just disappeared in a fucking year and a half, right?
Yeah.
Kodak is the same. You're like, so what I mean by that is that Epic did some very hard work, but just copycat Steam, right? And if you copycat, well, Steam always going to be better.
Okay.
If I'm just copycatting Steam, just in Web3, and saying, come to me, you can buy a game and play the game, why the hell am I going to succeed? It's impossible. Everybody tried. Epic tried. Apple tried. I mean, all those big guys tried, right? The difference with Ultra is that we are an OS. We're treating our user in a very, very different manner, right?
Okay.
Meaning that, look, when you've got a working guy coming in the office, right? He's not opening one to have Word and then, oh, I'm going to have to do some calculation. Let me open another computer. And, oh, I've got a presentation. Oh, let me open. No, it's just one simple thing that work together with the same grammar, with the same logic, with the same interaction. Because this is why, Microsoft launched its own way to communicate on Visio. Because now the calls are part of your job. So you have to be able to have a Visio call and at the same time having your Word document and your PowerPoint presentation, right? Because all this is your ecosystem where you're working. It's called an OS, right? Well, it's the same for Ultra. It's the same shit. A gamer is not just to play the game. He wants to be recognized. He wants to play the game with his friends. He wants to know about the game. He wants to learn about the game. Opening Twitch and discuss with the other guys, and then and opening Discord, and then other aspect of it is that gamers. What we have to understand is that gamers is not only the guy who's playing games, right? There is three different type of gamers. There is people who watching games, which is an enormous part of gaming, and needs to be treated equally to gamers, because those guys making the gaming industry, right? They're watching the games, so they are the viewers, right? So those guys need to be integrated into the logic of the gaming industry. The other aspect is those people's creating content. Right, so they are equal to those people creating the games, because they are literally making the content around the game, and this is why games got money and can create more games. Right, so there are the people watching the games, there are people creating the content around the games, and there are the people playing the games, and those three types are gamers. They are part of the gaming industry, and they need to be treated equally inside the business model and the way you access to the content of gaming. And this is what Ultra is about again. Ultra is an OS to interact with those three type of gamers, basically.
Okay. And I guess for that, you're sort of pointing out that within the sort of Ultra sort of client, you have streaming and you have esports tournaments and stuff within you download the Ultra, and that's all within there, rather than, you say, sort of having Steam and then
exactly
Twitch.
And again, on this thing, like tournament is one thing, but again, there is plenty of different things that the gamer used to interact with, and he cannot just get out, get in, having this type of logic with another type of logic. When you're making a tournament, you need to be recognized by your pair when you're playing a casual game on the other side, and then you have to be able to download your team from one game to another. Then you have to be able to speak with your friends, like discuss with the last game. And all this, you have to be able to follow the guy that you like, that creating contents, because it gives you insight how to play the game. All those things need to interact in one OS, as much as Microsoft. It's the same thing. It's an OS.
So in terms of where sort of Ultra is as a platform, it has a lot of those features in there, but obviously then it has this sort of big roadmap for 2025. So what do you think are sort of the key things that need to happen in 2025 to really drive this sort of new sort of approach, this new sort of way in which you're presenting the platform?
So to get back on the three clients, and then I'll give you the three products. Okay. We've got three clients, right? Three clients, which are the developers, the publisher, and the gamers. And I gave you right before the precision of what I mean by gamers, right?
Gamer,
Viewers, producers, and gamers. Those three type of those three protagonists are the clients of Ultra, right?
Okay.
We need to serve the publisher. as much as Spotify served Sony and Warner, right? Because by giving data to those guys, because they are the one who's taking the risk on producing music, they are the one who's taking the risk on producing games. We need to make the link between them and the end users, and give back the right they have, because they're taking the risk. It's normal, and to make their job properly. Why is that we've got so much problem with about game failure? Because those major studios losing contact with the end users. Completely. They don't know what the end user is expecting. So we have to fill the gap between developers and gamers. Then we've got like the small developers, the publisher and gamers. We need to fill the gap. Then we've got the developers, right? Developers are those guys who's working on the garage and trying to make games, right? We've got inside Ultra, we've got plenty of technological bricks to help them to develop the games, right? And it's there, and those guys need different things. They need to interact with the early adopters. They need to be able to fundraise their games. They need to have like the last technological bricks. They need to have access to certain AI agents that's going to help them to develop their games. We've got all this, and this needs to be put it together to serve those guys, right? Ultra at the end is a platform that's been developed by gamers for gamers. That's why we are. When you look at the people around, look at Nicholas and David. Those guys were like used to move with a massive computer back then to compete everywhere on different sides of the world. Those guys are born with games on their bloods, and they want to save the gaming industry. That's the vision at first, right? So that's what we're for. We're there to basically serve the gaming industry, and so giving the right tools for those developers. And of course, at the end, we need to serve the gamers, and giving them the best ecosystem, the best way to interact with their contents, the best OS to make sure that when they're there, they don't want to leave. They're opening Ultra in the morning. The Ultra needs to be open all day, because they've got plenty. And basically, you're opening your computer for a couple of different things. You want to watch a movie, you go on Netflix. You want to work, you've got Microsoft. You want to have leisures, it's Ultra. That's it. Okay. As simple as that. So that's the three type of clients. And Ultra has got the foundation of the three products. The Ultra is three things. We've got a gaming ecosystem, we've got de-gaming blockchain, and we've got de-gaming currency. A gaming ecosystem, we talked about it, and we can talk about it more later. De-gaming blockchain. Why is that important? Because blockchain, it's funny to see how much the world is excited about AI, and it's now everything is about AI, because most of people are just following the trends. There is a massive things in technology as the blockchain, right? Because it's probably that people doesn't get it's a more deep technology, and so we much less talking about it. And it's funny to see that AI is just creating pictures for you and talking with you, but the blockchain technology is something that's going to completely change the next 50 years of the digital world. And for the moment, blockchain are just following trends, right? Blockchain is all about technology, and they're there to serve a certain purpose, right? And because it's not a technology that's watched enough by investors and all the rest, they just have to follow the trends. And everything is about AI, so I'm going on AI. Everything is about financial, and I'm going on financial. And at some point, to have a technology that's super efficient, you need to choose your battle, right? And that's what Ultra did. We're there for gaming. We're not there to serve AI. We're not there to serve finance. We're there to serve gaming. And what does gaming needs, right? And the gaming developers needs very specific specs into their blockchain. And we're there to serve that. And we're going to keep, working on our blockchain to make the best gaming blockchain ever, right? And of course, we don't have the traffic yet. And that's probably one of the mistakes. And I've been meeting a lot of gaming studios the last few months. the first reflex that you have is that, oh, there is a lot of traffic there, so that's the chain I need. Well, if it's like millions of like little guys that doesn't give a shit about gaming, but they're just there for I know, like meme coins. Well, what are you going to do with it? Nothing. So it's a useless traffic for you. So what you want is quality, not quantity, right? What you want is like big fan of your game, not like millions of the people on chain that's maybe gonna. No, that's not what you need, right? So we don't have the traffic yet. One thing for sure is that we will have the traffic.
Okay.
But what developer needs now is the right technological bricks. That's what we're offering on the gaming blockchain, and we're still going to keep investing on this line. The third product is the gaming currency. Gaming currency is like as much as dollars is linked to petrol, right? EOS has to be linked and will be linked to gaming, right? Mm-hmm. So whatever's going to happen on the gaming industry, EOS will be behind, and people won't take EOS. It's going to somehow lose clients, as much as like you opening a retail shop for groceries and you don't have Coke. It's a product that you need to have on your shop because it's a product that everybody's buying, right? Well, it's the same for us. We're gonna, with a strategy, we're gonna impose us on every layers of the gaming industry, because it's not that at some point people's gonna have to have us, because as much as people need to have Coke on their shops, right? Yeah. And this is not for nothing. It's again, gaming industry is working in a very specific way, yeah? And it's important that at some point, for certain aspect of the of industries, you need to have what we call harrow money. Is that you know where your money is going for, right? And but when you're doing a deal with us, you know that this money is you attracting a certain type of people inside your product. I don't know. For example, you've got Razer who's got like a new hardware, whatever it is, right? If those things can be bought by us, they know they're going to attract the people they're talking with, right? And this is the same for airdrop or whatever you have in the gaming industry, whether Web3 or Web2 or hardware or software. You want to talk to the right audience, and when you know that your audience own us, a gaming currency, well, you want to make sure that your product can be bought with this gaming currency.
Okay. Good. Okay, that will make sense. Coming to the end, just a few more questions I was going to ask. One thing is how, obviously, sort of a gaming platform only works because it has sort of the games on it, and I guess it's been interesting for Ultra over the sort of years where it's, it has had obviously Web3 games, but a lot of the games have been sort of just Web2 games. So there's been sort of actually EOS Ultra has sort of first-party developers. So Ashes of Mankind, I guess, is the best-known game that you are actually, that's a sort of exclusive game that you're sort of funding as well. So going forward, how do you see that sort of mix of games on there? Do you think it's sort of, do you think the trend's been okay, that you can have mainly Web 2 games, some Web 3 games, and some that you're involved with, or how does that play out?
Well, we need to be all along the value chain of the gaming, right? As much as Netflix is going to sign actors, right? Mm-hmm. They're producing films and they're distributing films. Well, Ultra needs to work the same way. We need to be all along the value chain. And one thing for sure is that people are there to have content, right? So we need to have massive amount of games on Ultra. We cannot just be satisfied with a couple of hundreds. We need to be satisfied with thousands of games on Ultra, right? Because again, when you go on Netflix, you're happy to have like the last big shot things, but what also satisfying you is that you've got a tremendous choice, and you're going to discover things in function of who you are. So, and there is plenty of different type of gamers, and it's very specific. So we need to have a lot of content. So definitely one of the strategy that we are implementing now is to increase the catalog drastically, right? Okay. Surely. But again, on this catalog will be increased in Web 2 and Web 3. It's we are gaming distribution platform. Yeah. And look, you talk about Ashes of Mankind, which is, by the way, a crazy fucking game. It's where we did take a lot of risk in it, as much as all the other platform, because at some point you also need some exclusivity on your games, right? And we're not going to be able to have it for everyone, for all the games, but at some point we need to whether buy the exclusivity or because you were there at the beginning, you having the exclusivity because you took the risk. And that's going to be the exclusive games is definitely things that we're going to work on in the future. Yeah.
Cool. Good. So obviously you've been sort of very enthusiastic, telling us what's happening. If people listening to the podcast who want to get involved in Ultra, what should they be doing? What should they be looking out for in the next few months? What's the thing that consumers should be doing?
Well, what the community should be doing is that that's a bit the magic of gaming, of the gaming ecosystem, is that you've got a lot of big fan, right? And I'm sure the gaming industry is waiting for the one who's gonna change a bit the game, right? And address and eat the chunk of Steam. And what we need from this ecosystem is support, right? We've got a bunch of guys who've been working for the last 7 years on crazy tech. Now we've got a bunch of investors who's taking a massive risk to make it this platform the next Netflix of gaming, the next Spotify of gaming, right? And this is only possible with first believers, right? When you look at how Spotify works, that's exactly it. It was just listener who said, "Fuck it, this is the thing we need," right? And we're gonna fight for it. And Ultra as a company that's been created by gamers for gamers. So we need the gamers to speak about us, be enthusiastic about us, and on the same time bringing us criticism where we can improve and get better, and just judge us on what you're going to see.
Okay. Good. Right. Well, that's an open call. Well, one thing definitely Web3 has is a lot of people who are very vocal in the community. So I'm sure you'll be getting plenty of feedback already, probably.
Exactly. No, that's and again, vocal and criticism are constantly constructive, because that's probably one of the problem with the Web3 community, is that their mood are extremely volatile with the market, and the market's going down 10%, they say, the was going down by 10%. I would like to repeat to the community, I'm not here to we're not a crypto company, we're a gaming company, and because we're going to succeed like nobody's fucking business on the gaming industry, the UOS is going to rise like nobody's fucking business. The only thing is making the best gaming platform. That's what we're here for, not the money. The crypto is just going to follow the flow with what we're delivering as a product.
Yeah. So get involved in the gaming side and don't worry so much about what's going on the crypto side. Seems to be
exactly.
Good. Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time, Gus. That was really good sort of introduction to what you're doing. Maybe you can come back in a few months, 6 months time, and we'll see we'll see how things are panning out. Yeah,
with great pleasure, John.
Lovely.
All right. Thanks a lot, then.
Great. Thanks to Gus for his time. Thanks to you guys for watching, listening. Remember, every week we're putting out new episodes of people who are building out this whole new way of playing games, interacting with games, distributing games, and really crazy times at the moment. So do subscribe, don't miss out, and we'll see you next time.